President Trump on a remarkable run and urges him to build more ladders of success for every child and family to sustain the international order and to protect democratic institutions and traditions. Political analyst Larry Sabato.
I think Obama was trying to prepare Trump for this incredibly unique office. And it's obvious now after 7 months that Trump needed all the preparation he could get, and he didn't pay much attention to the letter.
A member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has died.
Are you reeling in the years? Stowing away the time.
Steely Dan guitarist Walter Becker has died at age 67. His official website did not specify cause of death, but band co-founder Dan Fagan said he had undergone a procedure earlier in the summer. This is CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining, bad odors, and lead with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to goodclearwater.com. That's goodclearwater.com.
A U.S. astronaut's home after 10 months at the space station.
Astronaut Peggy Whitson may have had enough space food to last a lifetime.
You get used to it. It's not great. I've been craving pizza for a while.
Whitson will be able to have pizza or anything else she wants as the all-time U.S. record holder for cumulative days in space, 665, and the record for the longest mission by a female astronaut, 288 days. Whitson's 10 spacewalks and more than 60 hours outside are also records for women. She's also the only woman to command the space station twice. Would she fly again? Maybe this is an indication.
I love working up here. It's one of the most gratifying jobs I've ever had.
Peter King, CBS News.
Good afternoon. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz 405 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hope everyone's having a great day. I am Jason Struby. It's time for your weather and traffic report. Start off on Highway 101. Get the worst out of the way first. Gilroy to almost Prunedale, stuck in traffic southbound 5 miles an hour. Moss Landing heavy on the 1, as well as Seaside 5 miles an hour southbound there for about 2.5 miles. 68 clear, 183 clear, 156 heavy toward Prunedale. 25 miles an hour the whole way. 17 southbound heavy through the Cats, not back to the limit until you get past the Lex. Looks like a lot of traffic up north past Pescadero. That's in the southbound lane. Also 152, a bit of a traffic jam there as you approach Watsonville through Interlaken. It's still 80-something degrees here in Santa Cruz. 82 right now outside the studio. Tomorrow will be significantly cooler. 73 your forecast high for along the coast. 80s and low 90s inland. Mid-60s for Monterey. 20% chance of rain tomorrow morning and a thunderstorm as well. Otherwise, we'll have a sunny afternoon. Overnight low, 61 degrees with cloudy skies. 4:06 at KSCO. Time for the Veterans Take Charge radio show with your host, Justin Baker and Dave Ramos.
Earlier today, somebody very close, very near and dear to my heart asked me, where would you be if you didn't, ... Where would you be if you hadn't, ... And I started thinking to myself, where would I be if I hadn't done something like join the wrestling team? Where would I be if I hadn't done something like join the military? Where would I be if I hadn't done something like taken the opportunity to be here on the radio show. And to be brutally honest with you guys, I mean, it's Suicide Awareness Month. To be brutally honest with you, I probably would have been chasing the bottom of a bottle. And that's what I told my father this morning. Pops, I love you. Luckily, there's some of us that take charge. There's some of us that capitalize on these opportunities. There's some of us that are beacons of hope and of light. There's some of us that hunt the good stuff and share that motivation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Veterans Take Charge radio show.
Wait a minute. Rangers lead the way.
Next installment of the Veterans Take Charge radio show on
Locked and Loaded,
KSCO, and the Military Appreciation Channel. Happy birthday to Miss Barbara Beach. Thank you very much for everything that you have done and everything that you are doing and everything that you continue to do. I am very, very excited about that.
Hoorah.
Welcome. Speaking of hoorah, last week we had former Marine Wayne Wilson, who is an instructor at the Warfighter Academy in San Diego. This cat is freaking awesome. He had a 5-year career in the United States Marine Corps, and during this he's kind of an anomaly because he got everything that he wanted while he was in the military. He went through a grip of deployments, has been all over the world, really.
And that never happens in the Marines.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's in the Army. It's actually pretty easy to get the schools you want, go to the unit you want to go to, go to the duty station you want to go to. You can make that happen. Mm-hmm. It's the Marines is a little more difficult to get exactly what you're after. You're kind of Not that it's a bad thing. They get you where they need you to be, and you do the job. But
where they need you to be.
Yes, the Marines is not about you. It's you about them.
Yeah, that's no doubt. So we talked to him about his military career, obviously, but then what led him to be an instructor over at the Warfighter Academy. They do force-on-force training. It's straight up train like you fight, man. They do law enforcement. They do military stuff. Also for civilians, they've got classes on what to do if somebody breaks into your house. What do you do if you're in law enforcement? What do you do if you're in the military? And like the S hits the fan, if you know what I'm saying. And it's extremely awesome because it gives us a really good insight onto how training is conducted, how training is adaptable, and what the realistic situations are when, you know, again, the stuff hits the fan. Talking to Wayne was freaking rad. I, once again, want to give Brady Pasola a big ol' high five because he's introduced us to some phenomenal people, to include Wayne Wilson.
You know, I've been thinking about Brady a lot because of the introductions that he's made and the program that he runs.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of pictures in the last couple of weeks.
Triple B
Adventures. The
Adventures,
yes. And I'm thinking, you know, it'd be really cool to have a Triple B here in Santa Cruz.
Beers, bonfires, and brotherhood.
We've got some of the coolest hiking and stuff like that around here, and I've always wanted to hike around the San Francisco Bay Area. I think it's called the Pacific Rim Trail or something like that, and it's a good 100 miles all the way around this thing.
That's all you, brother.
That would be really rad for Triple B Adventures.
You know what?
San Francisco.
Malachi's Gaskin hit me up, and he's like, hey, dude, I got to do a seminar out in Santa Cruz. And I was like, heck yeah, you do. Let's make this happen. That's in the works.
Is it?
Slowly but surely, but it's in the works.
We can make it happen, man. I know I did Doc Wallach seminars, so I know where all the good venues are at.
Brady Pasola, we should do a Triple B adventure here in the Bay.
I tell you what, why don't we do a Veterans Symposium and make it the West Coast Veterans Symposium, and we can bring out a whole bunch of John Jackson, of course, from Stag Vets. We need him because he's running a really successful veteran farm. And, I mean, we got so many connections at this point in the game that we could literally have a weekend of it, and we could have
a week of it.
We could have a bunch of the guys that are changing the game around the country come in that we've talked to on the show, and maybe some that we haven't yet. You know, it would be a great networking event. We could do all kinds of business, man. We can make all kind. You know, if we brought that group of people together, big things would happen for so many of them.
You
and for
are
us.
On it. You are on it. Speaking of things that have happened to us, if you haven't yet, go onto Netflix and go watch the movie Resurface. KSCO is now on Netflix. That is correct. KSCO is on Netflix. Y'all need to go onto Netflix and look up the documentary Resurface. It's about OpSurf. We had Bobby Lane here in studio with us, and he is one of the highlights, one of the featured veterans in this, and he tells his story. And I'm not going to lie, I'm getting chills thinking about it because he has been through some stuff. I learned some stuff on that documentary that we didn't get a chance to talk about here on the radio show. And
Which may have been better.
It's
pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty heavy. So
it might have made you, the listener, cry a little bit if you heard that.
Dude, it made me the veteran cry, man. But it's a great documentary. It talks about Operation Surf and about how surfing has changed lives. How surfing really does. Like, I've tried surfing, and it being on the water, it always resets my circadian rhythm.
I really feel like the electricity in the water.
Yeah.
Right? There's electrons in water particles, right?
There's electrons in
everything.
particle.
So I feel like it's a recharge. You come out of the water exhausted, but at the same time, it's like
just emotionally,
refreshed.
spiritually, mentally.
Yeah.
Everything is good.
Yeah.
Everything
it's a
is
great
good.
sport, man.
So go watch Resurface, the documentary on Netflix, because KSCO and the Veterans Take Charge radio show is on Netflix.
Thanks to the Veterans Take Charge radio show, KSCO is on Netflix.
Catch this broadcast as well as every other broadcast that we have done on either Radioactive Broadcasting, the Military Appreciation Channel, or zbsradio.com. Go scope out the Veterans Take Charge radio show. That is our archive. Everything that we've done in the past is on there. Also, go to facebook.com/KSCO Vets. We are streaming live right now on Facebook Live, as well as KSCO Global on YouTube. We are on YouTube Live. You can see this cool hat that Frank Keffer has given us from Operation Care and Comfort. Thank you very much, brother. And now, without much further ado, I'm looking on my left. Lane Nelson, man, I'm going to give you a high five, man.
How you doing, man?
I am good. The question is, how are you doing?
I am excited and nervous and a million other different feelings right now, I guess.
Wait, what are you nervous about?
I'm about to leave my family for 7 months to go do basic training in AIT.
I got good news for you. Basic training is only 9 weeks.
Yeah, that's exciting. But Fort Sam's what? 18?
Oh, that's true.
What's your MOS?
That's true.
68 whiskey.
Medic.
Yeah.
What? Oh, you made this guy hella proud right now.
Oh yeah.
I gotta be honest with you, dude. You'll be one of the most important people on the battlefield. Second only maybe to the communicator.
Coming from the communication specialist.
You know, it's great to have a medic there with you, but if the radio guy goes down, you can't call in support to get the heck out.
Can't call a medevac. Can't call a 9-line.
And then, well, maybe that makes the medic even that much more important, though.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Like, oh, we're stuck here and we're under heavy fire and we're backed in and we're not getting out. Now everybody's like, doc, medic.
Yup. And you know what we do? We answer the call. We save lives left and right. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I joined.
That must be a damn good feeling.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, it really is. I've got stories and stories, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about you, man. Lane, thank you very much for being here on the Veterans Take Charge radio show.
Yeah.
It's kind of sorry I interrupted.
No, I was just gonna say I'm stoked to be here, man. Thanks for asking me to come in.
I'm very glad. You know, we met because my car broke down.
Yeah.
Let's give a shameless little plug for Andy's Auto.
Yeah. Hey, Andy's Auto, downtown Santa Cruz.
Yeah, right.
I love that place.
And so when I met you, you were I think you were already the stuff was already signed. You were ready to rock and roll.
No, I was just.
You're in the process.
I was just talking to a recruiter at the time. I was just testing the waters again after getting turned down a couple different times for different reasons, from tattoos to not being married, having a kid. Different.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that'll happen within a month after you go into the service. All kinds of chicks will be hitting you up as soon as they know you got a solid paycheck. Trust me.
Do not.
I'm happily married.
Yes,
man.
yes,
happily
perfect.
married.
Everything within like a 2-mile radius outside of Post is just bad news. It's all bad.
I've heard some stories.
There's some
I have
really
a
good
couple friends
teriyaki
in the
shops.
military.
There's really good teriyaki shops and some really shady strip clubs.
Do you know the main strip off of right outside of Fort Benning is known as Venereal Drive?
Oh my god.
Oh dear. Well, I'm hoping to.
That used to be my stomping grounds.
I'm hoping to end up in Benning at some point.
You probably will, dude. That's
Yeah,
it's the home of the infantry.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go there for airborne school.
Oh, sweet. Do you have airborne in your contract?
Unfortunately, no. I had some family stuff to take care of and I turned down a contract with option 40 in it actually.
Towards the end of basic, they might make that available again though.
I really hope they do, because a couple of my friends have airborne in their contract. A buddy I have that's leaving for Benning about a week after me. He's 11 X-ray with airborne in his contract.
Yeah.
He's lucky, man. I'm
Dude,
jealous.
do it. Airborne school was amazing.
Oh,
you know, as I think about it, within the last, I think, week or 2 weeks of AIT, medic school, you know, they're handing out your orders. You know, you're going to the sandbox, you're going to the sandbox, you're going to the sandbox, you're going to Fort Bliss, you're going to the sandbox.
Oh, might as well be the sandbox.
Yeah, pretty much. But I remember they were saying that they were going to have specific personnel, like in the recruiting department, to talk about further options for like airborne school if you want to go ranger school.
Take airborne or ranger, dude. Do it.
That I'm really hoping for rangers.
Get
I
into
want to
spec ops.
Sock 'em, man. That's the course I want. And yeah, that's end of the line for me. I'm gonna keep.
If you can get rangers is really a stepping stone into FBI, CIA, DEA, Delta. You know, special forces. It's a stepping stone into whatever direction you decide to take it. But what's cool is you'll be really, really good. A really, really good medic as a ranger medic. You do like another year's worth of training once you get to regiment. The
18 Delta course. If you want to go like all high-speed hoo-hoo stuff, the 18 Delta course, you're straight up like, it's PA training is really what it is.
It is.
You're a battlefield doctor.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty intense. I've looked up some of the 18 Delta stuff. They're heavy, man. That's a couple years down the line, because
you got to lead up to that.
I still got a little bit of a gut from my civilian life, man. I don't think I can keep up with those guys yet.
Oh, basic training.
That'll be gone in about 10 weeks or so. You're gonna be a beast. You're gonna be a beast. You're gonna feel like a freaking savage. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yes.
I'm hoping.
Oh yes. So we got a few minutes before the maybe about a minute or so before the upcoming commercial break. But what I really want to know is, like, you've been trying to join the military since you were 17?
Yeah. I started out my family's been in the military for a couple generations, and my grandfather was a Navy pilot.
Let's hold that thought. I'm sorry. We're getting ready to go to this commercial break. We'll pick up right about your family history. That's perfect. That's perfect. We'll talk about your family history in the military. This is the Veterans Take Charge Radio Show. We're in studio live with Lane Nelson. Get ready to go be a 68 whiskey combat medic. Man, that sounds terrible. Who?
Hi, Registered Pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. One of the most important health strategies you can use is simple, easy, and won't cost you a dime. In fact, you'll probably end up making money in the long run. I'm talking about reducing calories and even fasting, healthy ideas that have been practiced for thousands of years. Caloric restriction and fasting turn on genes that stimulate growth and repair and slow down the aging process. If done correctly, they can help keep the body in fat-burning mode. And they've got important effects on stimulating motivation and drive and brain power. After all, when someone's young and ambitious, we often say that they're hungry. In a famous experiment in the 1940s, scientists from the University of Chicago showed that they could increase lifespan of animals by up to 20% simply by denying them food every third day. And in a review that was published in 2007 in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, researchers from the University of California at Berkeley found that alternate day fasting could save lives by decreasing risks for heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, the three leading causes of death in the United States. Moreover, they found it helpful for the nervous system and the brain, improving cognitive function and providing protection from Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease too. Fasting lowers insulin levels in the blood, which is always a good thing. Excessive insulin secretion is associated with all chronic degenerative diseases, as well as accelerated aging, and keeping insulin stable and low is one of the most effective ways to assure a long, healthy, and disease-free life. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to KSCOhealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at KSCOhealth.com. That's KSCOhealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to KSCOhealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos, too, at KSCOhealth.com. That's KSCOhealth.com.
Let freedom roar at the 37th Annual California International Air Show Salinas, September 30th and October 1st. Great food and fun activities for kids. Witness great aerial acts like the F-22 Raptor. The high-flying supersonic Raptor is famous for its super cruise and super maneuverability, making it the most advanced tactical fighter in the world. Honor our freedom with the United States Air Force Heritage Flight featuring the A-10, a tribute to the brave men and women who have served our country. Share the magic of flight with the high-energy aerobatics of longtime local hero Sean D. Tucker, plus the largest gathering of P-51 Mustangs on the West Coast and more. General admission is $20 in advance and free for children 12 and under. Get tickets today online at salinasairshow.com. Always great family fun at the California International Air Show Salinas, September 30th and October 1st. Let freedom roar.
You're listening to KSCO, serving Santa Cruz, Pebble Beach, and Penoche.
Welcome back to the Veterans Take Charge Radio Show on KSCO and the Military Appreciation Channel. We are in studio with Lane Nelson. You were telling us about your family history, and as it turns out, you've got a pretty significant family history when it comes to your involvement with the military.
Yeah. My grandfather was a Navy pilot during World War II, and some after that, he had an accident, we'll say, in 47. One of the people who was training decided to miss the carrier and hit the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so when my mom was born, he was in Walter Reed.
Oh, wow.
Broke almost every bone in his body, but he recovered and kept. According to my mom, he was still training pilots after that for a short time.
No kidding.
Then he went into reserves and then retired. He was, I believe, lieutenant commander or commander in the Navy upon retirement.
Wow, dude, take charge now, right? He's not going to let something like that stop him. And he continues to instruct. I think that's a beautiful thing. Like instruction is one of my favorite things in the military because you're getting to pass on that information, that knowledge. You know, especially as a medic, you're more than likely you're going to be teaching the combat lifesaver course when you get into your platoon, especially if you're going into a combat platoon, if you're going like infantry or whatnot. You know, you're going to teach truck drivers and cooks and non-medical people how to save lives.
Well, that's a key role. That's important. Everybody needs to know basic life-saving skills.
Right. So now you also have another person in your family.
My father figure. He was a corpsman back in the 80s. He was on boats for Westpac. He was one that really pushed me to be in the medical field.
Nice.
Before that I wanted to be an airborne medic. I wanted to be a paratrooper, and still hoping to get that. Bummed I didn't get the option 4 in my contract, but super excited to still have the chance to go forward with that.
Totally. So when you came home and you were like, "Hey, I want to join the military," what was your family? What was their reaction?
I mean, my mom said finally, because that's a nice way of putting it.
I gotta get the heck out of my house.
I've been looking at the military as a viable job option and career option since I was very young.
Really? Is it because of the family influence?
To be honest, I picked up history books, and
Nice.
I was just so enthralled with it. Started out with the Civil War, just the history of it, and went from that and idolizing some of just our greatest known people in the U.S. That it all served. I mean, some of our great presidents served. I mean, we had Eisenhower. He was Army.
Right.
And
I personally think every single president should have some military service. That's just me. I'm not bad-mouthing the president, but I am. So, whatever. Justin looks at me all sour.
Oh, man.
So now, getting into the medical field, part of me wants to ask, like, do you know what it's like to be a medic? What if this? What if that? But at the same time, like, you have a medical background.
I have a little bit of one.
Talk to us.
I got my EMT a few years back. fortunately let it lapse and had to go through a bunch of hoops to get it redone in time to leave for boot camp. That was a fun last month. I did it all in. Yeah, that was.
You did the entire refresher course,
and my national reg recertification test and my psychomotor test.
Oh, the whole 9.
Yeah, because I had let it lapse for over 2 years.
So now, when you originally got your EMT, did you work medical?
No, not initially. No,
Okay.
I had planned to, but there was almost no jobs in Santa Cruz. I would have had to leave Santa Cruz to be an EMT because this was 6 years ago. Now they have EMTs on their ambulances here. So if I had gone through now, it would be okay. Right. I'd be set. But no, I went to go visit my family in Florida and found out that there was some EMT jobs there, and without thinking really, I just decided, hey, I'm moving to Florida. I moved to Florida for the last 6 years, and just recently moved back. But it wasn't that easy to find a medical job there as I thought. There was a bunch out there, but age requirements and experience requirements were a big one. And
so not only do you have to have your EMT, but you got to have X amount of years of experience.
Exactly.
See, that's the catch-22 that a lot of people are running into, even outside the medical field. You'll get a degree, and now you have this degree. Awesome, I'm looking for a job. No, you need to have years of experience. Well, how the heck am I going to get years of experience if you're not going to hire me to get years of experience?
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, I unfortunately I got out there, and I was a year too young. I had just turned 20 when I got out there.
Okay.
So I was just a little too young to work on an ambulance rig out there. So it was a bummer. But yeah, no, I've had some experiences with the medical field.
And that's where I was going to go to next. Being a medic, I mean, you literally have people's life in your hands. It's a life and death situation. And again, the question, the original ignorant question is like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're getting into? But at the same time, like, you have had that training, you have that knowledge, and you have that understanding, the wherewithal of how to react in a situation, life, limb, or eyesight, airway, breathing, circulation, that type of stuff. So now you also were telling us offline that there was a situation where you responded to a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us about that?
I'll talk about it. A few years back, I was just going through EMT school for the first time. I ended up taking it a second time, mainly because of the situation. It just threw me for a loop. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be in the medical field after the situation, and then took some time, thought about it, talked to my father figure who was in medical, and decided, hey, I want to get back to it. But I was walking home one night in Santa Cruz County, and happened upon a fight. Well, what I thought was a fight turned out it was a kid getting jumped. And
how many people were the offenders?
Dude, I wish I could tell you at this point. It's a blur. It could be 5 people. It could be. It was multiple people. It was not pretty.
Jeez.
And turned out I knew the kid that got jumped. He was a young kid. He was in high school, and to me they looked like grown men, like at least in their 20s. That were jumping him, and I did what we're taught not to do. It wasn't a safe scene, and as soon as they ran off, I immediately ran to the kid and was screaming at people, "Hey, call 911!" And I was only halfway through my EMT school, my first time at that point, and yeah, I don't know.
Well,
what made me think I should go help, but
I think it's just you have that. I mean, from knowing you a little bit that I do know, you have that presence. You have that presence of mind, and also being in EMT school, what do they tell you? You're the one who's going to go into a situation like this, right? So when you were coming up, what was visually, what were you faced with?
It was not a pretty sight. Sorry, this is not always easy. He had been stabbed multiple times. He was bleeding profusely, and after doing some CPR, we found out that he had eviscerated bowels, which is not a pretty sight. And I went to check his back, make sure there's nothing there, and turned out there was more stab wounds on his back. What I had thought was just a kid getting beat up turned out to be a kid getting stabbed.
Yeah, being murdered.
Yeah.
For those of us that don't know, what does eviscerated bowels mean?
Did you watch Rambo Part 4?
No. I don't know. Maybe. That was...
Eviscerated bowels is...
So there's puncture wounds and fluid was leaking out into his...
Not fluid.
No.
Organs.
Organs were
Imagine
hanging out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Imagine...
Eviscerated means it's come out through... So he's disemboweled?
Think of
disemboweled.
Gotcha.
Like someone whose stomach's been slashed or stabbed enough times that it looks like it's slashed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was definitely an attempted murder, correct?
He did unfortunately pass away.
Wow.
He passed away in my hands.
Oh,
that was my first experience with that, and that's the whole reason I questioned whether or not I wanted to be in the medical field. And it shook me because I was not sure. I was like, well, if this is what I'm gonna see, is this exactly what I want to do for a living? And that's why I left EMT school at the time and went back home to visit family, and found out after some good long talks with my father figure, just, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to prevent stuff like that from happening. I want to be the one making sure they go home to their family.
Yes.
That was what drove me to keep going, because the medical field's hard. It's emotionally strenuous, but you got to look for the golden lining. I mean, whether it's delivering a child, saving someone's life, making sure someone's comforted in their last moments, whatever it may be, that is a happy thing. You got to look for those.
As military medics, as a military medic, as somebody in the medical field, I think that you have overcome the strongest hurdle that a lot of people face. Triage is a very, very real thing. Triage is essentially, it's doing the most amount of good for the most people as possible. If you are one medic and you have 5 casualties, you have to assess the situation and find out which one is going to die first, which one do I have the capability of saving. And you have to really make hard choices, hard decisions. What makes it even more challenging is when you have one of the opposing forces and one of your own that are both casualties under your care. Which one do you approach?
I can answer that.
You can answer that from a ranger point of view.
Yeah. It's easy. Stab the enemy, save your buddy.
Well, is that covered? Like, these are some of the questions I have, like, as civilian EMT school is one thing, but combat medic school is going to be a whole nother, because there's a whole adding in the rules of engagement, adding in I'm now carrying a weapon. I need to defend myself and my patient, and then also the whole helping the enemy, I guess. I don't know.
So EMT school, medic school, one of two things is going to happen. Either A, you're going to go in for the first half, which is all EMT stuff, and you're going to smoke it. You're going to be good.
I get to skip that.
Or B, you're going to skip that and you're going to go directly into combat medicine. And so combat medicine, they pretty much say everything that you learned, remember that, except for one thing. We don't wait till the scene is safe. We don't wait for law enforcement. We don't wait for fire department. We make the scene safe. And we go in and we, wreck shop and save lives all at the same time. So now old school, when we had an enemy that paid attention to rules of engagement, the medic, if you pass casualties, once you pass them, they're officially into your care. It doesn't matter what side they're on, what color they're wearing, anything like that. Those are all of a sudden your casualties. So back in the day, before all of this, Middle Eastern, not so rule-abiding terrorist people.
Well, even before, I mean, I've heard from friends' parents in Vietnam. I have a friend dad who was a combat medic, and you said they had trouble treating people then because they just.
You go online, and as you're going on your line, you got bayonets fixed, and so you stab the enemy. All of a sudden, they're not in our care because we didn't pass the line. That's not my problem. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of shady, and it's kind of, there's some moral and ethical issues in that, but at the same time, this is war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's called war.
And now, with that being said, my first deployment, it was detaining operations. Okay. We were treating the enemy. We were treating the people that were detained for reasons X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? And I had some of my leaders, some of my best friends, some of the people that to this day I would take a bullet for, they couldn't work with those patients. Because every time they saw them, they saw the person holding the RPG that killed their friend. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, I'm getting chills.
Maybe there should be a rule, you're allowed to slap that patient around a bit, and then you got to save them. I mean, come on. Well, we're going to save them. It's all right. Just let me beat them up a little bit.
I smell
first.
An entire 2-hour broadcast about the Hippocratic Oath coming up soon.
Oh, dear. Yeah, no. My question is, how does, say someone isn't able to treat an enemy, like they have some past issue that won't let them get past that mental blocker. How does the Army handle that?
I mean, there's a black and white way to think about it, and then there's the realistic gray area. I mean, the black and white area is that you have casualties, you're a medical provider, you provide health care. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm hoping for, is that I'm able to treat everybody. I mean, that's why I'm in the medical field. I'm not here to single anybody out and just treat them.
You're going to see civilians. You're going to see good guys. You're going to see bad guys. You're going to see the whole spectrum. And as a medical provider, you provide medical care.
I hope you make it into the Rangers. You're going to come back and you're being like, killed that guy, saved that guy, killed that guy. America.
Now, with all that being said, so the AVPU scale, alert, verbal, painful, and unresponsive, right? So if you're checking if somebody's going to be painfully responsive because they're not alert and they're not responding to verbal stimuli, you do the sternum rub.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, you can pinch the webbing of their...
that one's great. It feels tremendous.
Or if you're working with detainees or bad guys, you can just skip right to flicking them in the eyeball. You did not hear that from... yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Man, I thought I was bad, okay?
Yo, man, if somebody's going to be faking a heart attack, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
I'd almost rather take a small knife wound than a flick to the eyeball.
Yeah, man, that doesn't sound like it feels very good. Talk about an invasive procedure.
You'll know if they're faking it or not, right? That's all I'm going to say. I may or may not have had people, faking heart attacks. Because they're detainees. What the heck else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Rape each other.
They do a lot of that.
Yo, I'm keeping it real.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It wasn't rape, though. It was consensual.
Anyway. So, yeah, you're getting ready to go into the military, to go be a medic, which I am obviously biased. I think you are doing an amazing, tremendous thing for a bunch of different reasons.
I'm biased, too. It's.
I'm going to give you a high five.
In my opinion, it's best MOS, but...
Right?
Some people have other decisions there.
Yeah. It's the second largest MOS in the United States Army.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that.
It was actually my second choice.
It was in 2004 when I joined up.
Wow.
You're getting ready to go serve your country, your fellow man, in a capacity that is extremely highly regarded. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what you're going to do. More than that, you're going to be imbued with skills that, like, the foundation that you already have is just going to be built on and built on and built on. And those are skills that, once again, you're going to be able to push forward to your platoon. You're going to have medics under you. You were telling me you want to make this a 20-year career.
That's my plan.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be able to do amazing things. Get into 18 Delta course. Get onto a flight medic crew. Get onto as many things. You're going to come into... I was part of an Air Sport medical company, my first unit. I was in charge of 3 ambulances and a handful of medics. You're going to be able to push your information, your expertise and knowledge to the brand new boot, the brand new troop who has been a medic for literally 15 minutes. My first deployment, I was a medic. I graduated medical school. 6 weeks later, I was in Iraq.
Holy crap.
You're going to have troops like that. And you're going to have to sit them down, be real with them, look them straight in the eye and say, you know what? People are going to die. You are going to lose patience. But at the same time, you're going to save people too. The concepts of triage are very real. You are going to do everything you can for people that no matter what you do, they might not make it. But for those that do, they will be forever in your gratitude. Or they'll be grateful for you. I think I said that right. Anyway. I'm
go with that.
Yeah. I'm freaking pumped, man. I'm very pumped. When we come back, I want to talk about. I can't remember what I want to talk about. I got it right here somewhere though.
You'll think of it.
Oh, you know what? Some of the realities of the fallout from war, because once again, this is Suicide Awareness Month.
Yeah.
You know, Suicide Awareness Week is coming up. We're getting ready in the second hour to talk to Terry Nichols about neutralizing the driving effects of post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, and suicide. You know, repetitive behaviors. He's the father of repetitive behavior cellular regression, which, like, you know, we're exposed to things every day, good, bad, and indifferent. We're exposed to things, and they imprint on who we are, and that's what shapes our character. That's what shapes the person that we are. You know, once again, some people thrive with it. Some people.
I mean, you are some of all of your experiences. That's who makes you. Absolutely.
So I kind of want to ask, you know, when we do get back from the break, I don't know where Struby's at, so let's just go with it. You know, when there is the realities of post-traumatic stress, and post-traumatic stress is not exclusionary to the military. Post-traumatic stress is for anybody and everybody who has exposure to the threat of life and death, to the threat on your own life, the experiences that shake you to the core, you know. And realistically, it sounds like you've already had some experience with this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've been around it and experienced it. I have a lot of friends in the military that have expressed it in a different way. I mean, like I don't know how to put it. I guess I snapped back to reality out of a daze, because like the first few days after that happened, it was definitely like a foggy daze. I didn't realize really what had happened. I mean, gave my report to the police, everything that happened that I could, but I avoided talking about it, stuff like that, for a little while. And then I don't know. It's not like I forgot about it. I just was able to put it behind me.
Gotta move on.
Because, like I said, I mean, it was that experience that made me decide I really wanted to be in the medical field. I want to be a medic. So it was either let that haunt me and stop me from my dream at a young age, or try my best to push past it and go just I don't know, just go forward. I
drive
guess.
on. Drive on.
The one thing my dad, father figure, told me is in the medical field, you just gotta keep on pushing on. Like you can't stop just because of something bad. It's the one thing that's stuck with me about the medical field is you're gonna get these bad calls. You're gonna probably see the worst of the worst, minus the people who are right there in the thick of it. You might be attached to a line unit, and you're gonna see all that, but you can't let it get you down. You can't let it stop you. You just gotta keep going.
I'm telling you, man, I think that you've already crossed the strongest hurdle. And one of the reasons is because you knew the victim.
Yeah, that was...
I think that you are in a position of opportunity because of your experience.
I totally agree, dude. I think the hardest part's out of the way for you. I mean, the second one won't be as hard as the first one. And if you go to combat, you're going to see some. So the first one's always the hardest, right? The first one's the hardest one to forget.
Oh, I'll unfortunately never forget my...
you know, you should.
Since I was young.
Yeah,
you shouldn't.
Build on it. Use it as a positive for yourself. You know?
That's definitely what I've done.
This is Veterans Take Charge Radio Show. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
The following is a KSCO editorial. Here is KSCO owner Michael Zwirling.
At a time when people are talking more and more about a looming civil war in our country, I want to share two KSCO listener emails that I have received during the past 24 hours. Emailer A says, "Not that you care, but I am done listening to your station. I am not going to rant. Basically, I'm tired of all the politically correct crap you promote on your station, and I'm sick of hearing that big mouth nobody Billy Sunshine run his mouth every day. I just wish I could magically create a giant toilet bowl and flush your station along with Alex Darnell and the rest of your politically correct group. The only normal one there is Charlie, and he's got to be the glue holding your piece of bleep radio station together. Keep on going with your agenda to ruin this country. Emailer B says, regarding Georgia, I am disgusted and ashamed to be identified as coming from the same county as that in which this white extremist broadcaster is given a media platform from which to rant dementedly about white genocide in America. If there were ever an incentive to foster such a genocide, it would be her and her like. In fact, of course, any genocide is inhumane and outrageous to advocate. What is needed is to shut the woman up, now. Though speaking from opposite perspectives, both emailer A and emailer B have one striking thing in common. They both want to shut down free speech. I believe that if they and other enemies of free speech are successful, then there will indeed be a civil war in our country, sooner than we think. Opposition to free speech and free thought has gotten so strong and overpowering now that locally, an outspoken but politically incorrect talk host on KSCO has resigned, and one of the most popular restaurants for nearly 4 decades has been forced to close. Do we want a civil war? If yes, stay the course. It is working beautifully. If no, fight the urge to kill free speech by using free speech in reasonable civil discussion, and appreciate that you still have it. KSCO KOMY remains proud to be the venue for free speech and reasonable discussion. For KSCO and KOMY, I'm Michael Zwirling.
Take Charge radio show. Hey, let's talk about some reality type stuff. Not that we haven't been talking about the reality this whole time, but I'm going to talk about the reality. You were mentioning you have a very supportive wife. You have a new baby.
I do.
You know?
I do.
And this is something that is going to take you away from them for months, maybe years at a time. Not years, but you know,
up to 15 months at a time.
Considerable amount of time. You know.
Every year.
How's your wife's reaction to you joining the military?
You know, she's been super supportive.
Nice.
She's used social media to really reach out to other military wives and spouses and significant others that are out there. She's joined Facebook groups for future soldiers that are going to the same basic training I'm going to, and she's reached out to other military wives that we know, because we just moved back from Pensacola, Florida, home of the Navy Aviation. So, yeah, that's cradle of Navy Aviation.
I'll say that 5 times fast. Navy Aviation.
I can barely say it once.
Well, it's really cool. When you get to your new unit, chances are you're not going to get there by yourself. You're going to go with a handful of people from AIT, and your new unit's going to welcome you and have like what's the AFR? Family Readiness Group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's the family. You and your family are going to be welcomed by your platoon or your company and their family. And so that social media, the fact that she's doing that is outstanding. And when you get there, it's going to be even more concentrated of having that support group, because everybody's going through the same thing. Everybody's going through the same thing, especially when you're in the same unit. You know what to expect, what not to expect.
Oh, yeah.
Like the commander's wife, the first sergeant's wife, are going to be pillars of strength for your wife, and that's really good. That's really
she keeps
good.
asking me what my when I'm gonna get my hard orders and when I'm gonna find out my duty station. She's like, when's this gonna happen? I need to find this Facebook group. I'm like,
You got about 6 months.
Yeah, I have no clue. Well, I mean, my buddy actually got his orders at MEPS. He's going to Korea. Yeah, in his contract, he's going to Korea.
Man, he's bummed. That's like the least favorite base of everyone I know.
You know, he's surprisingly stoked. He's like, oh, Korea? I tried to actually get him to come in today. He's 68 whiskey also.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Nice. Give that guy a high five for me.
You might have a lot of work there, huh?
Yeah,
You're coming up soon.
He ships with me.
Really?
We're going to different basics. But we're going to be at AIT the same time. He's also a former EMT.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah, he goes in, gets to skip stuff.
Word. So as I think about it, when I went through MEPS, you've got your 3 options, not options, but your 3 requests. I want to go here, or I want to go here, or I want to go here. And the Army's like, okay, we'll take that into consideration. You're going to go to Korea.
Hey,
so maybe that's how, yeah, the wish list. Maybe that's how he got it done.
Yeah. I mean, I have undecided on mine. It literally says undecided. I'm like,
We're going to send you to Antarctica. Turns out we got a base up there.
Hey, we've got some in Alaska. That's close enough.
All right.
If you end up going to RASP, you're only going to have 3 choices. And to be honest, well, you're a medic. I think a lot of the medics end up going to regiment headquarters anyway because they have to go on standby until they do the rest of the medical training, which is like a whole nother year.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with that, they're like, all right, do you want to go to Washington, Benning, or Savannah?
Go to Fort Lewis. It's joint
if
base
you want to
Lewis
stay close
McChord.
to the family on the West Coast,
Yeah. Savannah is Fort Stewart, right?
Yeah, and all the second bat Rangers, man, they loved their duty station.
You know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, Georgia. I've heard nothing but good stuff about Georgia.
I was gonna say that's
Georgia was
near
cool
my
too.
family in Florida, and I've had to go pick up a friend that was he was on terminal leave. He was done. He did his time. He was at Fort Stewart. I went and grabbed him from there, and that was a fun drive because he called me halfway through my work day and was like, when you're off work, do you want to come help me move? I totally underestimated the work I got to do. I was like, oh, thanks, bud. You just called me last minute, but you know what?
Hey,
I got you.
You're a good battle buddy already. You're a good battle.
Like
You've already got a 6. So now there's also the reality of the fallout of trauma. And I'm talking about post-traumatic stress. I'm talking about substance abuse. I'm talking about suicide, really, is what it all kind of boils down to. What have your mechanisms, your coping mechanisms been? Because there's obviously, there's a good way to cope with trauma, and there's a not as good way, a bad way, a negative way.
Yeah. Honestly, I had to break the stigma of talking, man. That was my coping mechanism. Is I don't shut up. So no, I just sit there and I talk to people who knew, like
Smart. Very smart.
Former EMTs, former firefighters, people who knew what I was going through, and I just people I knew growing up, family, friends. That's who I would reach out to because I've never been one for therapy or anything like that. That's not my cup of tea. I don't knock anybody for doing it, but it's not something I want to do.
Yeah.
So I reached out to people like my father figure. He was a medic. He was a corpsman. So I told him, hey, look, this is what happened to me. I went back and lived with him for a little while.
Nice.
And that way he could really help me process what I was going on in my brain because I didn't know. I was 18, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, what happened? And that really helped. And I mean, that was my I would say number one coping mechanism. And I don't know how I didn't just break and
resiliency, man.
I was lucky. I was lucky to have a good support system. It was where it was at. I had friends and family that were like, hey, we know you've just been through this situation. Let's talk about it. Let's go have a chat.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like the evolution of trauma, the evolution of this war, these wars, the evolution of how people are reacting and responding. it's beneficial. It's getting better. It's getting a lot better. You know, the resiliency program I talked about plenty of times. I'm a huge advocate for it because I was a master resiliency trainer. One of the things that I've noticed while I was in the military, and being from a medical company, we kind of had it good because we had all the resources there. But after the stuff hit the fan, after we had a mass health situation, we always had our behavioral health technicians and the chaplain going and checking in on everybody and just saying, hey, here we are. If you guys have anything to talk about right now, perfect. If not, you know where to find us. There's always people there to check in with you and make sure that everybody is good and golden, you know? Because there are going to be the times where some people, like, the only thing that they know how to do is just revert back into themselves and not reach out. And sometimes, you know, you get calloused over. It's hard to break out of that.
No, I definitely understand. I mean, the only reason I even reached out is because I was young and I didn't know what to feel. Because, I mean, I was still a teenager, man. I was a young male.
Teenagers as is, they already feel a little bit of everything with uncontrolled doses.
Exactly. They don't know what to feel in a big situation like that a lot of the time.
For sure.
And so I went to the people that I thought might know. And because, I mean, I didn't know if it was okay to just kind of shrug it off. And I didn't so much shrug it off as, like, I was able to move forward pretty quickly, and a lot of that had to do with talking to people, but some of it just happened to be from me just wanting to. I don't know what drove me to want to. I just wanted to, and then that I was lucky that way, really lucky.
I think you have a brilliant head on your shoulders, man. You're very forward thinking. You've already got this foundation. You've got this wherewithal, and you know what you're getting yourself into. And I think that's extremely smart. You're a step ahead of the game. And the fact that you're going in as an E4.
Yay, sham
stoked
shield.
on that, dude.
That sham shield, man. I'm super stoked on
your
that.
Your drill sergeants are going to,
come back buff, man.
Yeah,
They're
that's
gonna
for
be
sure.
So
That's
stoked on me.
Understatement. Especially if you get to the Ranger Regiment. You're going to get paid to work out for a living. It's pretty sweet.
So in the next hour, we're going to be talking to Terry Nichols. Once again, he's a 20-year Navy veteran, Chief Petty Officer, and he's the father of repetitive behavior cellular regression. The cellular regression is, you know, these are methods, modalities to neutralize the effects of post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, suicidal ideation. You know, these realistically are epidemics within the veteran community, you know, and realistically, it is applicable to everybody. But obviously, we're here on the Veterans Take Charge radio show, so we're talking about veterans. So stick around. Hey, Lane, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad. Thank you very much for being able to be here today. And I'm kind of glad that there was a mix-up, and you get to be here for the second hour. So
yeah,
you can help us talk to Terry, man.
I would love to, man.
Rock.
That'd be awesome.
And roll. This is the Veterans Take Charge radio show on AM 1080 KSCO, as well as the Military Appreciation Channel. Stand by.
KSCO, Santa Cruz.
CBS News, I'm Pam Coulter. President Trump called some of his national security advisors to the White House today to discuss North Korea's nuclear test. Defense Secretary James Mattis.
We made clear that we have the ability to defend ourselves and our allies, South Korea and Japan, from any attack, and our commitments among the allies are ironclad.
He said any threat to the U.S. would be met with a massive military response. A U.S. intelligence official says there's high confidence that Pyongyang tested an advanced nuclear device. CBS News military consultant Jeff McCausland.
It further shows that the North Koreans are continuing to improve the technological characteristic of the threat that they actually pose to the United States and to its allies in the region. And I think also underscores how quickly they are moving ahead in the creation of such capabilities.
President Trump is expected to announce Tuesday whether he will scrap the DACA program that's protected 800,000 immigrants who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children. Apple CEO Tim Cook says 250 of his Apple colleagues are dreamers, and he said they deserve a solution rooted in American values. On CNN, Arizona Senator Jeff Flake said he wants Congress to protect them.
They are either in school or have graduated and are working, almost all of them. I think 90-some% of them are in the workforce. To remove them from the country, to split up families like this is just not the way we ought to go.
In Austin and cities around Texas, people gathered in churches to pray for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. Tens of thousands of homes have been damaged or destroyed. CBS's Omar Villafranca is in Channel View, Texas.
It's already been more than a week since the storm blew through this area, and people are now just getting into their homes to start the cleanup process. What they're seeing is horrid. Their homes caked in mud and muck. The smell is sometimes overpowering. Sandra Carrasco's home had more than 6 feet of water inside, and the mother of two feels like their neighborhood has been forgotten.
We're not the only ones suffering. It's the whole neighborhood suffering, and no one's came to help any of us.
FEMA's already making preparations for Hurricane Irma, which is now far out into the Atlantic, but it could hit the Leeward Islands by Tuesday night. The National Hurricane Center's Robbie Berg.
The most we can say at this point is that the storm, as we get to the lake this week, will be heading in the general direction of the United States. We just don't know at this point if it'll actually impact directly the U.S. or if we'll turn out to sea before it reaches.
The man who ran through 2 levels of security into the Burning Man Festival's signature burning ceremony has died. He is identified as 41-year-old Aaron Joe Mitchell. About 70,000 people are attending the event. This is CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
I make my Texas superfood from 55 raw, vine-ripened fruits and vegetables. You can see all 55 on texassuperfood.com.
All of the nutrients that we need on a daily basis, I lost 60 pounds. I mean, that's huge.
Since I've been on superfood, I haven't been sick.
I'm Dennis Black. Join us on texassuperfood.com.
texassuperfood.com.
Or call 877-55-TEXAS. That's 877-55-TEXAS. 877-55-TEXAS.
A band leader who helped put swing on the map has died.
He helped keep swing up to date. Band leader Larry Elgar has died. He, along with his brother, recorded the theme song for the long-running TV show American Bandstand. The brothers teamed up to record a series of successful hits that brought swing music into the forefront in the 1950s. He also had an unlikely 1982 smash, a disco-pulsing medley of 1940s standards called Hooked on Swing. Larry Elgar was 95. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Good afternoon. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. 5:04, a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon. I am Jason Struby with your look at traffic. Highway 1 northbound into Santa Cruz a bit heavy at 41st, but not too shabby. I'd say 30 miles an hour till you get closer to town there. Maybe a mile and a half of that. Otherwise, Highway 1 looks good south until you get to Moss Landing. Salinas Road to the harbor, 5 miles per hour. Southbound through Monterey County, heavy through Seaside. Northbound, heavy approaching the 218. A couple of miles of traffic in either way there. 156 heavy to Prunedale from Castroville. You may want to take Blackie as usual on a Sunday afternoon. 101 cleared up for the most part, but you still got a patch of traffic there as you pass the 129 toward Prunedale. A couple of miles and you'll be out on your way. 101 northbound clear all the way to San Jose. 85 and 17 looking good. Looks like an animal hazard reported SoCal San Jose Road at Summit Road. Reported just 3 or 4 minutes ago. Dogs running around towards Summit Road on SoCal San Jose Road. Also a collision reported at 446 101 southbound at East Dunn off-ramp. No injuries, thankfully. Looks like we'll have partly cloudy conditions overnight across the central coast with a low near 61. 20% chance of rain and thunderstorms in the AM tomorrow. Sunny in the afternoon, much cooler, a high near 73. It's 79 degrees right now in Santa Cruz, cooling off a little bit there finally. And it's 5:06. Time for Hour 2 of the Veterans Take Charge radio show on your favorite station, KSCO Santa Cruz.
Welcome back to the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We are all going to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Well,
God.
I'm a Ranger, so I already knew that.
If you have been watching us on Facebook, facebook.com/KSCO Vets, we are live. And I would like to thank Shane Lies for this t-shirt. I'm wearing this U.S. Army t-shirt. He's a recruiter, and his last name is Lies, but he'll tell you the truth.
That's a great marketing.
Oh, man.
Yo, I'm stoked. I'm totally stoked because we're getting ready to bring back on Terry Nichols. He's a chief petty officer, former chief petty officer, 20 years in the Navy, and he's the father of, I keep saying this wrong. I want to make sure I say it right. Repetitive behavior cellular regression, the CR modalities. And we talked to him before, Terry Earthwind Nichols, and I'm just so pumped to have him back because he's freaking rad. Chief, you with us?
I am on board, brother.
Yes! Welcome back. How are you, man?
I am doing well. I am so honored to be here on your show again. You guys are doing it right out there, man. You're doing it right.
Thank you. Hey, real quick. Have you you have Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the newly released documentary Resurface?
No.
Probably because it's newly released. It's only been out for like 3 days now that I think about it. But check it out. When you get a chance, go on to Netflix and watch this documentary. It's only a half hour long. It's called Resurface, and it's about Operation Surf. And it's about how surfing has helped veterans stray away from suicidal ideations, just simply getting in the water and doing away with those negative thoughts and behaviors. It's another platform. It's another modality for resilience, for hunting the good stuff, and for positivity. And it's a shameless plug because KSCO is in it, and so is the Veterans Take Charge radio show. But hey, we're not here to talk about Resurface and Surf. We're here to talk about Earth Wind. We're here to talk about you, man.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So real quick. Yeah, go for it.
No, go. No, I'm totally yours.
Well, I was going to ask, since the last time we talked, you and your 501c3 have gone through a tremendous amount of events, stuff. What's been going on? What's new?
Oh, well, the 501c3 still keeps moving forward. We do fundraising and awareness of suicide in the veteran population, and as well as their families, because as we spoke on the show last time, we'll just go through it again because it's so important. Mm-hmm. Like anything else, the chances of if somebody commits suicide, let's say a vet commits suicide, there's a 65% chance that somebody else in that family unit will end their life unnaturally. And that's huge, and that is almost double from what it was just 10 years ago.
Really?
So, there's just massive things that getting the word out there is so important for people to, think about different stuff. I wrote for the Good Men Project, shameless plug for them, for a while, and one of the things that I did there was the face of suicide. It's just not the person that commits suicide; it's what they leave behind. Mm-hmm. And the perpetration of this continuation of well, if Uncle so and so did it, why can't I? If Aunt Louise did it, or if Mom did it, or Dad did it, those become tools or leverage to talk yourself into doing the same thing. It's nasty stuff, man.
It sounds almost like
so we're out there talking it up and making aware, like we're going to talk about in this hour, our month-long suicide awareness thing we called hashtag suicide disgust. Not disgusted, discussed, like talking like we're doing right now.
We're discussing it.
Excellent stuff.
Perfect. Now, here's an interesting question. This just popped into my mind. So in the last 10 years, the amount of personnel that have taken their lives or have died unnaturally has doubled when they're part of a family unit with somebody who has committed suicide. What do you think that might be attributed to, or why in the last 10 years has that become so much more prevalent?
Well, awareness is a lot of things. It has a lot to do with it. 10 years ago, 8 states, Texas being one of them, did not categorize veteran suicides. They categorized all suicides, and so there's always been probably a whole lot more veterans than have ever been reported. The number that floats out there right now is 22 a day.
20. As of 2014, the VA re-released it's 20 a day. But I've always been under the thought that it's been so much more. Even when they said it was 22, I was thinking more along the lines of like 40 or 50 a day.
Well, unofficially, and in the networking groups that are associated with the VA and various agencies, the number's around 32 or 33.
Damn.
And that's a lot closer, and that's still just wacko. 22's no way.
One a day is too many.
Every 40 seconds around the world through 2016, every 40 seconds, somebody ends their life through suicide. Right?
Oh my God! Think about
That's
how
in
many
this
people
2-hour
died.
show that you're putting on today. 3 or 4 people will end their life somewhere in the world.
Oh my God!
This is tragic, man. Shouldn't
Oh my
and
God.
it's not all veterans.
No, yeah.
But Australia is their suicide rate is climbing quite quickly, and we're reaching out to them right now to see if we can start some dialogues about repetitive behavior cellular regression, what we call the CR process.
Hey, real quick, we know a combat medic who served with Australia. He's from Australia. We can make some connections. Mr. Terry Moore, he's in Texas right now.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him because the more awareness, the better.
Absolutely.
And in direct support of our training facilities, everything is online with us. So it doesn't matter if one of my people in Germany is teaching somebody in Australia. It doesn't matter. It's all online. So it doesn't. Who cares?
Perfect.
And so talking to anybody, anytime, anywhere. I'm on the stump, man. I'm there.
Nice. Your push is so strong, and it's so important. It really is so important because there's this huge mission to get this number, no matter what the number is, down to 0 a day. And awareness is so important. A couple of months ago, I saw a video and somebody was saying, awareness is stupid. What's awareness going to do? And I thought it was in bad taste, first off. But I also thought that they missed the mark because awareness, I realize it's lip service to a certain degree, but that awareness turns into prevention. That awareness turns into a dialogue. That awareness turns into discussion.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Straight up.
I think Epictetus back in Greece or somewhere, we're back there, some of those old dudes said knowledge is power, and it's true. The more you... with suicide ideation, nothing's broken in there. There's just something that you can't get a hold of. Doesn't mean that it's broke. And it just means that something happened early in life that created a triggering device for later on in life, like a firefight or hell, it can be anything. I took a 16-year-old teenager through the CR process a couple of years ago. She's a practitioner now, and there was a fire. 2 houses caught on fire down the street from her. Triggered her out, man. She went into full PTSD, 3 to 5 panic attacks a day. For the 2 months before I found out about her, and got her parents to approve to take her through it, and she's never had a problem since.
Nice.
We do the same thing with suicide ideation. I think I totally talked about this the last time we were on here. I had a discussion. A guy reached out to me one night, combat vet, had a locked Glock, lock and loaded trigger set in his hand, and in the other hand was the phone. I got him to make the weapon safe, disengage the magazine, put the magazine down on the chair beside him on the floor, and put the gun on the other side, and just talk to me for a minute.
Nice.
Nothing can go wrong. You can pick it up, lock, load, and be done. But just talk to me, you know? And for those of you who are out there, listen to the story, because this is really important to know that all of the stuff that keeps going on over and over and over and over and over again is fixable. It's stoppable.
Yes.
Okay?
Preventable.
And that young man that night, we spent 3.5 hours together over Skype on the internet, and that was 3.5 years ago. And he has not reloaded that weapon yet.
Oh.
Okay? He has not had a suicide ideation episode since then.
Nice.
Okay? It's powerful.
So,
okay? Especially when, you know, we have this month, and we're going to talk about this month. We're talking about suicide all month long. But one of the things that is very powerful is the ability to trust. Now, in this instance, he trusted a fellow vet, so we had a connection. But that's not necessarily true. It's knowing that the person on the other side of the phone initially is somebody who cares about you and can help you, and in fact will help you. Okay? Because when a person gets to that point of enough is enough, where just a little bit of pressure with one finger can end it all, that's enough is enough. And that's the point where I don't care. There isn't a time in the 5 years I've been doing this 24/7. There isn't a time on the clock, 24 hours a day, that I have not been on the computer with somebody helping them. Okay, because it's that serious.
Brother, I want to give you a high five, man.
Very consistent stuff. Okay, so I'll shut up for a minute and we can come up with something else.
Well, it's actually, I don't want you to shut up, but it's perfect timing because we are going to take a break right now.
Oh, great.
Oh my gosh. I want to give you a high five and a hug, man. The things that you're doing and the success that you've had with this is so freaking perfect. So when we pick up, back from the break, I want to talk about cellular regression and that term, as well as the repetitive behavior aspect of it.
Right on.
This is the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're online. Former Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, Terry Nichols. We'll be right back.
The 17th annual Santa Cruz Chef's Dinner is coming up Thursday, September 14th. This gala event features a 6-course gourmet dinner paired with fine local wines. Join featured local chefs from Cafe Cruz, Paradise Beach Grill, Assembly, Carried Away, Sotola Bar and Grill, and California Grill. All proceeds benefit Second Harvest's award-winning Food for Children program. Seats are limited. Buy your tickets today at thefoodbank.org. Sponsored in part by KSCO Radio.
This is Mrs. Future from the Dr. Future Show. We have had Etheric Networks for 10 years, and it has always been really a stellar service. There's always a real person there if you have any need to call them. They fix things as quickly as possible. Our service has hardly ever been down, and the service is just great. We live kind of in the middle of nowhere, and there are no other mainstream bandwidth providers where we are, and Etheric is a great service. We're really lucky we have it. Thank you, Etheric Networks.
KSCO Residential Special. Residential service up to 10 megabits per second, symmetric. That's up and down for $85 a month and $199 installation. With guaranteed minimum speeds and uptime, unlike our competitors. Etheric Networks. Call 650-399-4200. That's 650-399-4200. Etheric.net. That's ETHERIC.net.
I'm Gary Shapiro, host of From the Bookshelf here on KSCO, Monday nights at 7. This week, my guest is Bob Batchelor. He's written a book about Stan Lee, the man who created The Amazing Spider-Man, The Incredible Hulk, and The Invincible Iron Man. The book is called Stan Lee, the Man Behind Marvel, and we talk with the author, Bob Batchelor, on Monday on From the Bookshelf, right here on KSCO, with me, Gary Shapiro.
Proud and steadfast. Welcome back to the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're online with Terry Nichols, and in studio we still have Lane Nelson. He's getting ready to go be a combat medic in the United States Army in a couple of days. And in the first hour, we were talking about experience and how experience imprints on you. And what I really, I mean, it's an imprint. It's a physical imprint. You know, cellular regression. We get these things imprinted on us. You know, we get a rush of endorphins. The adrenal glands that sit right above our kidneys, they dump a whole bunch of stuff in there, and our body physiologically changes. So when I hear about repetitive behavior cellular regression, in my mind, it means something. It means something that might not mean the same thing to anybody else who's listening to this. So Terry, if you wouldn't mind, when it comes to cellular regression, what does that term really encompass?
That's a really excellent question.
Thank you.
It's you know, repetitive behavior cellular regression is just that. What we do is we have a question and answer sequence where the client live on Skype, not in person. We don't do this in person. 25 U.S. states, 12 countries, 7 languages. It's all online.
That's amazing.
Anyway, what happens is we first set the mind up to understand that what we're about to go through is a trustworthy process. So that kind of disconnects the ego side of this right up front. And then what we do with cellular regression is we ask them to choose a memory that they like to remember and remember often with friends and family. Dave, remember when we were, oh God, was that just the awesome? Oh man, I can't believe it. Yes. One of those kind of memories. Because we start out that there are no good memories, there are no bad memories, there's simply memories.
It's just memories.
Okay? So we start to disconnect the emotional piece of memories. And when we get to the memory, we do something very special. And that is we have them freeze frame and create a photograph of the memory. So there's no history. There's no who all's doing what. We're walking. We're not moving anything. We have a photograph. Here's the big deal. If there is no motion of a memory, there is no emotion of the memory. And that is the power of repetitive behavior cellular regression. In that, we're able to take somebody through the description of a memory only using the 5 senses. No story, no motion, none of the stuff that we associate remembering a memory with. So the triggers are released, everything. And then what ends up happening in this very specifically worded sequence of questions using the 5 senses, starting with smell. Smell is the number one of the 5 senses to trigger memory.
It's the strongest.
And smell is the number one trigger in PTSD. Number one.
You know what's funny? Every time I smell green Purell, I am right back in Iraq.
Right on.
That's weird.
You know, for me, all I got to do is get out of the car at a truck stop, and I'm on my last shift. Diesel.
Ooh.
Right?
Right.
It's amazing. And it can take you even farther back. I mean, you know, there's memories from childhood that will you know, the sense of smell can bring you to. It's amazing.
My mom's spaghetti.
What ends up happening is we describe this memory in detail in a specific way, only with the 5 senses, and not talking about the story. so that when we're done, we then go back farther in time and do it again with a new memory. We take in about 1 million memories a day, so it's not real hard to find memories, okay? Especially since we've taken away the emotional part of the memory process and memory recall, because we've now disengaged motion and emotion. So we go through the process with a second memory and then a third, sometimes a fourth, but very seldom. But each of the memories, if let's say you're 6 years old, you're on the end of the dock at the lake, at Grandma and Grandmother's lake cabin, where you spend the summer every year since age 3, and you're now age 7, sitting on the end of that dock. If I was sitting beside you, there's certain things that I would want to, or I could smell, taste, hear, see, etc. Okay, touch. And what we're looking for is, if we're sitting on the end of a dock and I'm asking you to tell me what you see around you, and you describe a brand new white microwave sitting beside you on the end of the block, or on the end of the dock, that's pretty odd.
Something doesn't add up on that one.
Right on. We go to the next memory, and we're in Grandmother's brand new renovated kitchen. And this person is not that old. The microwave is part of the scheme. Well, there's no microwave there, and there's no kitchen counter when we go through that memory. So now they're starting to correlate, okay? And if you've been sitting on that dock all summer long for 4 straight years in a row, and you're at age 4 to 7 or in that age group, there is not a rock that you have not touched anywhere around that house. Would you agree? You're a kid. You touch everything. You're all over the place. But yet, when you're sitting on the end of the dock, you cannot remember anything to the left side of you. Nothing. It's black. It's dark. It's black. So, these are all stuff that are missing, odd, or can't be remembered information pieces to a puzzle that we then, at the end of the deal, at the end of the process, we go back through and start asking you questions in chronological order that we took the notes down with. And we end up in a memory that our client has not been in since it happened to them at age 1, 2, 3 years old, whatever, very early on. But they know the memory. They can smell, taste, feel, touch. They completely remember the memory that until this point in time was completely amnesic to them. Well, amnesia is not, the brain is not broke when you have an amnesia event, okay? Thing is, if a 4-year-old sees mom and dad murdered in front of his eyes and he can't remember the event, there are police, fire, family, friends, everybody before the event happened and after the event happened to get the person to retrieve that information and take care of it. But if there's no one other than the person who caused this extreme emotional event, that person is not going to tell because they probably sexually assaulted you or did something like that, or and therefore they are not going to say anything to anybody, or they did something very innocent, stupid but innocent, in that they said something to you that you internalized to such a degree that it created amnesia. Well, amnesia, the subconscious says, okay, you don't want to remember this ever again. So now it's my job to keep you from remembering it. That's
Like adding
really how
layers
works.
and layers and layers and layers and layers of just stuff to essentially isolate any kind of unwanted memories?
Right. It's a deflection process that comes. So what happens to little kids? How do we learn? A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Repetition.
1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 3. Lineal thinking. So the deflection or the protection system for this memory becomes a lineal deflection system. Later on in life, age 19, 22, whatever, something, again, of high emotional value takes place. A lot of our veterans, that's probably a hot firefight or something like that, that is hugely emotional to the person.
Right.
And they immediately internalize it because that's what we're taught in the military. Internalize it, keep yourself focused, move on with the mission.
Drink water, drive on.
Deal with it later. Right on.
Rub some dirt
and
on
nothing
it.
wrong with that either. The thing is, the deflection system now has something for you to remember all the time. And every time that you remember it, your body reacts in a similar way that it does not know that you're reacting in a negative way. It doesn't know that you're reacting in a positive way. It just knows that there's a reaction in the body. So every time that the deflection system has you remember that memory, the reaction goes off. And if it goes off enough times, it becomes repetitive. Okay?
I'm starting to track.
So nobody can find the amnesic memory because there's no witnesses, right? And now they, known science, and I don't have anything wrong with the current behavioral system. They're doing what they can do, okay?
Right.
I give them kudos. They're working hard. They like to give out drugs. We don't like to do that, okay? I've been through that system, okay? I've stood in November of 2009. I was 10 toes on the edge of a 28-story building roof.
Holy smokes.
Okay? I know what suicide's all about. Something in the back of my mind told me, step back, I got work for you. And what we now call the CR process within 3 months was born. So you call that divine intervention or whatever you like, but that's what happened.
And this actually
So
leads
when
perfectly.
I talk to people...
Sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
No.
When I talk to people and they've got suicide ideation going, they listen to me.
Yeah, it's like you have that empathy. You have that sympathy and empathy, and you know it. You've walked that line. That's where I think the trust thing really comes into play because, like, are you gonna take some good information and criticism advice from somebody who has read the book or from somebody who has stood in your shoes? You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
You're
right on.
Yeah. So this actually does lead.
And you're going vet to vet. Now I have practitioners
Yes.
who are veterans. And when a vet's talking to a vet, there's a brother-sister connection.
Yes.
Okay, on a deeper level, as you guys know, on a deeper level than there is otherwise.
Straight up.
There's nothing wrong with that, just the way it is. But what happens is when we find that memory and they're in it for the first time, there's a face of somebody who created that. And so we have the person go through a neutralization process at that point. And what that is, really briefly, is they get to say anything they want to that person. They can't get up, they can't throw anything, they can't beat anything, but they can be as verbal as they want, and they must be verbal out loud. They must have let their human ears hear what all of this lifetime of stress and mayhem that person has caused them. And then there's a post-session process of self-repatterning. I can give you mantras all day long. You like to say them, you say them, but they're not yours, okay? But if you self-repattern yourself into being present and alert and on the job with that never happening again, now you're mission-driven. Us in the military totally understand mission-driven.
Absolutely.
Okay? So there's the power, and it's self. You're fully in control of yourself, and you own it. So that's why the success rate is so high. It's 85% through the first year, and 85% goes to 91% if they come back to us. A part of those people in that 15% come back to us for a continuation session, which is usually about an hour long. We find the new block that found its way into subconscious and neutralize it. I've never had somebody come back a third time.
Presumably because they were set and squared away, right?
Well, they allowed it to disconnect one time. They're not going to allow it to disconnect a second time because they know what's going to happen, right? In their own world. They don't have to read about it. They know in their own world what's going to happen. So, yeah, that's what happens.
Wow.
It's powerful.
So all of these things, they all revolve around neutralizing the driving effects of post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, and suicidal ideation, as well as, you know, repetitive behavior. And when it comes to neutralizing those driving effects, I mean, one of the things we were talking about offline was the cognitive processing and how repetition, you talk about it, and then you write about it, and then you talk about it, and then you write about it. You know,
right?
Is there some parallel methodology behind this?
No, not really. We have people come up with their own check-safe system, okay? Self-repatterning is just that, self-repatterning. There's no journaling over and over and over again. There is a week of unique journaling by email from yourself to yourself that's kind of complicated to say over the radio. We got only an hour.
But you know what? I just had a crazy light bulb about it. That makes perfect sense. It's coming from within. It's coming from me. Yeah. It's
you. Right on.
The light bulb just clicked.
We just yeah. Well, since the last time that I was on the show, an incredible new practitioner has come into my life. Lifelong alcoholic. Okay, self-medications, going into schizophrenic breakdown, and in the VA, Vietnam vet, in the VA for 6 to 12 weeks every August, September, okay, for 20-some years, every year. And we've not only found the reason why his repetitive behavior and alcoholism exists, but we have now not only this last year, he did not go to the hospital for the first time in 20-some years.
Nice. Wow.
Never had to.
Wow.
Totally fine. Now, again, this year, still didn't have to go to the hospital. And he is still dry and sober. Now, he's in AA, and he's very active in AA. His thought process before going through the CR process is, I have to have my VA every week, or my AA every week. I have to have it. Now, since become a CR practitioner and helping other people with this, I got to be there to help people. I don't have to be there. I want to be there to help people. Okay? See the break?
This is success left and right. This is positive, motivating.
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Hey, we're going to take
an amazing tool to add to the behavioral health toolbox.
Heck yeah. We're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we'll have a few more minutes to wrap stuff up. Real quick, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back with that from the commercial break. This is the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're online with Terry Nichols. Oh man, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped about you, brother. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Joe Ferrara, inviting you to attend our 62nd annual Santa Cruz Follies, September 13th through the 16th at the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium. This year's title is Best of Broadway Then and Now, directed by Barry Lee. Matinees are at 1 p.m. September 13th through the 16th, plus a 7:30 evening show Friday, September 15th. For tickets and information, call 831-423-6640 or go to santacruzfollies.net.
I'm Barry Williams, Greg from the Brady Bunch.
That's together. Terrific.
And I'm your tour guide on the Summer of Me.
Groovy.
It is groovy.
Like summer vacation.
On Me TV.
The Summer of Me is comedy. Every weekday catch the Brady Bunch, the Beverly Hillbillies, Leave It to Beaver, Gilligan's Island, Elf,
The Summer of Me,
and much, much more.
MeTV is only on KYMB Channel 27.1 and Comcast Cable Channel 19.
Coming soon to a radio near you.
Bar Land. It's an 8-hour film. It stars sheep. In a news release, they said it's possibly the dullest movie ever made. Bar Land. The movie has a cast of hundreds, and that was it. All of them are sheep. And this is to calm you down. And it's 8 hours long. See?
In a world of constant stress and information overload, of anxious days and restless nights, comes the chance at last to pause, to breathe, to calm our racing minds and fretful souls, to sit and stare at sheep.
Don't miss Good Morning Monterey Bay weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on KSCO, and listen anytime on the KSCO mobile app.
Check one. Try that again.
Hey, this is Lane. Welcome back to Veterans Take Charge. Hey, Terry, I've got a question for you, man.
Go for it, man.
Hey, I was wondering if there's any preventative measures to try and keep from getting to the point where we need to reach out, or even to help with people cope with things before it even happens.
Well, knowledge is everything, right? Knowledge is power. And when we're talking, people are lost. Okay, they go down a road. You know, when we're in, everything is about mission. Okay, make a muster in the morning, and everything has a reason, minute to minute, hour to hour, every day. When we get out, we're in civilian life. I don't care if you're going to college or you got a regular job or whatever. There's no mission.
Yeah, right.
There's no place to be. There's no place to be a part of that we were in when we were in the military. And man, that's tough for all of us. It was for me, 20 straight and out the gate. And
I like that. 20 straight and out the gate.
Yeah, man. And I loved my time. I'm 64 years old now, and I miss it. I miss being at sea. There's no doubt. We can go down. We can talk hours for that one. But what we're talking about now is, you know, getting this month of September is this coming week is National Suicide Prevention Week. So what? To somebody who's in the throes of suicide ideation, it's minute by minute. It's not a week. It's not a month. It's not even multiple months or a season. We're talking minute by minute.
Right.
We're talking about somebody walking out of work in the middle of the afternoon, getting their car, lock, load, and end. Okay? It's minute by minute. And so the month of September, we have dedicated it Evolutionary Healer, LLC. That's our for-profit, is the main sponsor of a lot of stuff that we're doing this month. Every Tuesday night on purpose. Every Tuesday night, as you guys have figured out, we don't do anything just kind of haphazardly. We plan. And so every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern in the month of September, starting this coming Tuesday night, we're going to do Twitter chat for an hour. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about who's doing what out there.
Hashtag suicide disgust.
Suicide disgust. Hashtag, yep. And Wednesday is the highest suicide rate day of the week.
Really?
So Tuesday night, we talk about it, and we change somebody's life.
Oh.
Okay? We're all about one life at a time. We're not talking about the whole nation or the world. We're talking about somebody's listening to this radio show right now.
Straight
needs
up.
to hear me.
Straight up.
Right on.
And I think it might be
And
Mark
it's
Estes.
minute
Thank
by
you,
minute.
brother. Sorry, go ahead.
Right? It's minute by minute. And so we chat every Tuesday night so that we disengage that Glock on Wednesday, and it doesn't get loaded. Okay? And it holds. And all through the month on Facebook and Twitter, constantly, just Google us or whatever you want to do. We're doing regular social media posts on everything that's going on out there in suicide land, and who's doing what, and what's happening out there. And we're putting the face of suicide out there. And some people don't like that. Well, guess what? Too bad.
That's real.
Because we're talking about lives here. We're not talking about whether it's socially acceptable.
Damn.
We're talking about saving lives, and that's what we do.
Yes.
So this is all building up to the 26th is the last Tuesday of the month, and the 27th from 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for 2 hours. We're going to do a call-in, and as well as you can come in on computer as well, a telesummit. We're going to be talking in 15-minute segments, kind of like what you guys do here on your radio, for 2 hours with people who care and what they're doing and how they're doing it. Where are some sources that you can reach out to and talk to, without getting out of your house, all right? Because what's happening to a lot of our vets is they get to the VA, and the VA wants to see them 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, and they're on a job that's hourly, and the people at the job say, hey, you either got to stop going to the VA, brother, or you're going to have to quit your job because I'm not letting you off 3 to 5 hours a week. Right? I got a business to run, and that's tragic, but it's real.
That's a real situation.
So, right on, and this happens all the time. We just had a Facebook release on one of my groups where a veteran walked out of one of the VAs. Sorry, I can't remember which one. It's really not important. And shot himself in front of the building. Pulled his gun out of his bag and killed himself in front of the building because he couldn't be seen right away. And he was at that point. Right?
That hurts my heart.
Whatever reason, did not agree with his self-analysis. Well, now they get to think about it in a tragic way, but it's real. Right? We're talking people's lives here. All right? We're not talking about a job that you come to every day to help people as a side bet. We're talking about people's lives. And that's what we're doing here with Suicide Discussed all month long, is reaching out to you guys that are listening tonight, and people who will hear our Evolutionary Healer Facebook, company Facebook. We're going to be doing some live Facebooks through the course of the month too, in no particular order. Okay, so we're going to do some day ones, we're going to do some evening ones. We're going to reach out and touch people, and get the word out here that we're making positive things happen in such a way that our success rate is magnificent. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's some of the big things we're doing.
Wow.
And hour to hour, day to day, we have a 24-hour call center for you guys here in the United States. Plus, you can contact us 24 hours a day on our website, evolutionaryhealer.com. But you can get the phone number right on the web page. I recommend you do that. But for those of you that's got your pencil and paper handy, North Carolina, 828-676-2535. 828-676-2535. That's a 24-hour staffed phone number. Okay? And yeah, we can do the toll-free stuff, but everybody uses their phones.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
And you can reach out to me, Terry Nichols, Earthwind, is the nickname on my Facebook. Facebook got crazy about that. We won't go down that hole. But yeah, they made me take off Terry Earthwind Nichols. The reason why I do that is I'm Chickamauga Cherokee, and when people would Google me, they'd get the guy who was the Oklahoma City Federal Building bomber instead of me, right? So if you Google Terry Earthwind Nichols, Bing, whatever you guys use, Terry Earthwind Nichols, you'll get information on me and only me. So that's what I recommend that you do.
There you go.
Is before you reach out and talk to me, check how legitimate I am all over the internet.
Yeah.
Or just grab your damn phone and let's talk. Okay. Did I cuss? I didn't cuss.
No, you're solid. You're solid. Once again, that phone number is 828-676-2535. That's a 24-hour phone line to get a hold of Terry Nichols, an evolutionary healer, to get this stuff going. Man, I really do hope that they're.
Me. In the 5 years that we've been going full blast, we've gone from a mom and pop, me and my wife, to 48 of us in 12 countries and 25 U.S. states. So we're out there.
Yeah.
And we're making things happen.
In the past
we've
had personnel listening to this that needed to hear a message. They needed to hear this message. In particular, I'm talking about Paul Damon of Holistic Veterans. Justin, you're wearing a nice shirt, by the way. He was talking about suicide prevention, and he gave out his personal phone number, and literally within 3 minutes somebody had called him regarding exactly this. So my fingers are crossed that someone out there who needs to hear this is in fact listening, because the things that you're talking about, the methodology that you've created, and the way that you're unraveling these things, neutralizing those negative effects, and also grabbing onto memories and remembering them is powerful. I mean, it's successful, and I'm a huge fan of Hunt the Good Stuff, and this is great, man.
Right on. It's so consistent because it is counter to the normal memory recall that this deflection system I told you about earlier is designed to protect you from. So it doesn't take us very long at all. One session, usually 2 to 3 hours, and we're done. There is a 30-day follow-up, and for those of you who are vets or kids of vets or ex-spouse of vets, we have a ongoing research project. So we not only take you through the 30-day process, we now talk to you once a month for a year, so that we track how you're doing, and if that continuation session at some point is necessary, we stoke it right in and make it right. And through this year-long process, we're able to compile research information that the National Institutes for Health are looking at to look at us for funding for federal research. Also, we just got big things happen this summer, brother. I haven't even told you guys this. We just got approved to now do business with the U.S. government, and not only the U.S. government, but the Department of Veterans Administration.
Oh, yes! Oh, my gosh, that's huge!
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean that we can walk into the local medical center and go to work.
Not today, but you might be able to in the future.
Right on. They can call us and say, okay, we want to try something with what you're doing. We want to look at bringing in what you're doing, because we can teach their people to do this. Okay?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So,
If anybody needs this, it's the freaking VA who's got people shooting themselves at the front doorstep. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Oh my gosh.
I tell you, I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have any complaints about the VA in Minneapolis or the VA in Asheville, North Carolina. Not one.
Good.
Because when I was one of the lucky ones. And I'll tell you guys how to do this out there. Never get an appointment on a Monday. Because if you have to draw blood, you're in line with 50,000 other people who come in on Monday. Mm-hmm. Okay? And never, if at all possible, get an appointment late in the day.
Yeah, because everybody's all burnt out and ready to go home.
Yeah. Because everybody that works at the VA are understaffed. They've always been understaffed. Probably will always be. But we're trying to change that with adding another tool to the behavioral health toolbox in the form of repetitive behavior cellular regression, our RBCR program.
Man, oh man. Terry, thank you so much for being a part of the program again. I look forward to talking to you the next time. Your work is strong. Your work is strong, and your evolution has been in the right vein, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, go to www.evolutionaryhealer.com for more information. Stay tuned all month long and use the hashtag and search the hashtag suicide disgust. Not disgust like disgusted, but disgust like we just discussed cellular regression for this whole past hour. Hashtag suicide disgust. If you want more information, contact Terry Nichols. If you want more information, contact Evolutionary Healer. 828-676-2535. Once again, that's 828-676-2535. That's a 24-hour phone number. Man, I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed because of the work that you're doing. You know, this month is a strong
Very
month.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just in case anybody's thinking about calling me tonight, call the 828 number tonight. I've taken the phones on purpose because I've been talking to Dave and here on the phone. You'll talk to me tonight.
You'll talk to the man directly. Former Chief Petty Officer Terry Nichols. Chief, I want to give you a high five, man. Bam. There you go.
Right on.
Lane Nelson, dude, you're going to do some damn good things in the military. You know that? I have full faith and confidence in you.
I hope I can.
That's what's up. I'm going to give you a high five. I'm going to give you 2 high fives. One for you and one for Terry.
Right on.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned because next week, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you guys what's happening next week. John Preston's in studio. He's getting ready for a pre-release. Mikhail Venikoff's going to be calling in. Hi, Libby. They're going to be calling in for the road thing. And then there's going to be oh my gosh, Joe Torillo. He was buried in 9/11. He's going to be on the program.
KSCO, Santa Cruz.
CBS News, I'm Pam Coulter.
We have many military options, and the President wanted to be briefed on each one of them.
Defense Secretary James Mattis speaking after meeting with President Trump on North Korea's claimed hydrogen bomb test. He warned of a massive military response if the U.S. or its allies are threatened. On Fox News Sunday, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said he's drafting a new sanctions package designed to cut off all trade with Pyongyang.
The president has made it clear this isn't the time for just talk. This is time for action, that this type of behavior is not acceptable. And our objective has been and will continue to be to denuclearize the peninsula, that these types of tests are not being part of the world community.
The House this week is expected to take up a disaster aid bill for communities hit hard by Hurricane Harvey. The chairman of the Appropriations Committee says the bill contains the full amount requested by the Trump administration, almost $8 billion. Texas's recovery will be very slow. CBS's Danielle Nottingham.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott estimates the damage from Hurricane Harvey could total $180 billion, more costly than Hurricanes Katrina or Sandy, and many communities are nowhere near out of the woods.
Here in West Houston, 2 swollen reservoirs are expected to keep water levels high for about 2 weeks, and everyone has been ordered to evacuate.
In newly dry parts of Houston, residents are pulling their belongings outside so they can air out. At least 1,000 people remain in shelters.
Authorities today began a controlled burn at the Houston area chemical plant that was flooded by Harvey. They said they were taking proactive measures to ignite 6 remaining containers of unstable compounds so they wouldn't pose additional risk to the community. The La Tuna wildfire, described as the biggest ever in Los Angeles, is now 15% contained, thanks to the efforts of more than 1,000 firefighters. Mayor Eric Garcetti.
We do not have this fire contained, but we do have, I think, a good sense of, in the next day or two, how we can bring this fire to rest.
While the fire remains erratic, Garcetti said evacuations are being lifted tonight and the 210 freeway should be reopened by tomorrow morning. We now know the contents of the letter President Obama left on the desk in the Oval Office. It congratulated President Trump on his remarkable run and also urged him to help more Americans benefit from the economy and protect democratic institutions. Political analyst Larry Sabato.
You can call anything political that any president says, but anyone reading this entire letter from first line to last line knows that you couldn't get much more gracious than that, especially given the nastiness that existed between Trump and Obama for years.
This is CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
In business, risks and rewards come with every decision, like moving to the cloud with Office 365. While its benefits include anywhere access and lower costs, cyber threats and user errors can quickly wipe out data and the money you save. Barracuda Essentials for Office 365 provide an added layer of security and functionality for threat protection, email migration, data recovery, and quality of service. Move securely to Office 365. Visit barracuda.com/essentials to learn more.
Food is comfort in Texas.
For Chef John Besh, it all began after Hurricane Katrina.
Friends and I set out to start rescuing people, and then that led to rescuing and feeding people.
When he heard about Harvey, he packed up for Houston, Orange, and Beaumont, where he's been feeding thousands daily, including an elderly couple who came by boat 5 days hungry.
To see them, I'm heartbroken, and yet to see their humility and their grace accepting somebody else's hospitality, it's something that goes right to the heart.
Besh says he'll stick around in Texas for as long as they need him.
Food is a great conduit to show love and kindness and hospitality to somebody.
Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Labor Day weekend is capping off a very blah summer for Hollywood. There were no new releases to attract big crowds. The R-rated action film The Hitman's Bodyguard stayed in the #1 spot for the 3rd week in a row. The horror movie Annabelle Creation was in 2nd and the crime drama Wind River in 3rd. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch.